Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to show you guys just some basics about how to design for using HTV. So today I'm going to show you guys just some basics when using vector graphics, as well as layering when you're going to use HTV. One thing that we use here sometimes is going to be called Freepik. So it's this website, and I'll pull it up here for you guys. We just have a little frog in here, and this is a great site to use that's free resources, and who doesn't love free resources? Otherwise, you guys can be purchasing vector graphics from people on Etsy or Fiverr, or we also have another video called Vectorizer, where it shows you how to take your images and make them vector if you don't have access to a software. Everything I do today is going to be done in Adobe Illustrator, so if you have Adobe Illustrator, this is going to be kind of a video for you to watch. If you guys are working in other softwares, this still is going to be a pretty good overview of everything for you. I know CorelDRAW has very similar setup, meaning like when you look at things like I'm going to use Pathfinder later, you're going to be in Adobe Illustrator, it's like Unite, and in CorelDRAW it's Weld. So there are very similar things in a bunch of different softwares across the board. They might just be called something different. So this should still be a good overview to give you guys some some tips and tricks along the way. All right, so let's just take, okay. So I just found one I liked. We're just gonna download it here for free. We do have a free account, so you do need to create an account to log in for it. Okay, so now I have an EPS you can see right here. If you guys didn't see in another video, we talked about getting artwork ready for supercolors or just print in general, and EPS is gonna be a very universal file. A lot of different softwares can use it. So we will double click on that, and it should pop open in Illustrator for me. Just gonna hit yes. Alrighty, so a good little trick here real quick is I'm gonna do Control Y. That's gonna show me all the vector. So one thing we'll talk about later is when we get ready to make this cut ready, is gonna be showing you guys basically how to clean this up. Because if you look at anything in here, that's how it's gonna cut. So we're gonna need to make sure we separate it, maybe use our Pathfinder tool to clean it up, but that's a good view of basically what it would cut like. So Control Y back out of that. Right, so next step is we're gonna get this ready for HTV. So if you can kind of see in here, there's gonna be gradients. We need to get rid of those because there's no gradient in the vinyl unless you get the ombres that we have. You can maybe use that. But gradients don't work for it, so we're gonna get rid of all of our gradients in our artwork. So I'm gonna ungroup things here just so I can start kind of deleting things. As well as I'm gonna start using my layers tab. Layers are gonna be your friend when you're thinking about layering HTV as well. So we will get rid of this guy. And if you want along the way, if you don't like any of these colors and you want to change them to kind of match your HTV you're working with, you totally can do that too to give you a better visual of what your end product's going to be like. So this guy here is one that we got to get rid of, the gradient. Yep, there it is. So now those should be okay. So ungroup everything here. This looks a little better. We got a little drop shadow down here I'm going to get rid of. So now, if you guys can kind of see, there's little tiny lines because these are all individual shapes, which is so great about vectors. You can manipulate anything you need to. So if I were to go cut that, it's going to cut them all individually. I don't really want that. So I'm going to unite them in the Pathfinder thing over here. So one thing too that's great about vector is obviously you can delete anything you don't need. So if you decided you don't want any of these, you don't have to have them. Or if you don't like the shape or where they're positioned, you can rotate, do whatever you want. So super nice about vector is everything is editable. Okay, so one thing that is really helpful when you guys are using designs is to either get familiar with using shortcuts or know where things are located in your software. What would be a huge pain in the butt is if I had to click on every single one of these blue lines. So one thing that is in Illustrator, and I'm sure it's in other softwares too, is you're gonna click on one of the colors you like. Make sure over here in your swatches panel, it doesn't have a question mark because then it's not gonna know what you're wanting to look up. So make sure it's that certain color you want. So I'm gonna do select, same, fill and stroke. So it has all of that blue color selected, and then I'm gonna go over to my Pathfinder. So if you don't have Pathfinder pulled up in Illustrator, it's really easy to get it open. You're just gonna go to Window, and click Pathfinder, make sure it has the check mark, and then it should be over on your right-hand side in your like tools bar. So I'm gonna click, oh, I'll do it again. Because it clicked off. Then we're just gonna hit Unite. And what Unite is doing is making it all one shape. So it's different than grouping. Grouping is just basically, it's just a group. They're just different in different elements moving all at the same time when you click on it. Unite is actually making it one shape. So we are going to unite them. And as you can see, they are all united. And it looks funky. So if you guys didn't catch that, I'll undo it here. So I'm gonna unite it and you'll see right over all of the stars. It got a little funky. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go arrange, send to back. Oh, why didn't you do it? There we go. I had to do it twice. I had to do it a couple times. That was a little weird. All right, now we should be good. Looks good to me. I don't know if you guys can see, it looks like there's something on this star here. Probably more gradients. So, ungroup. See if I delete what happens. There we go. So there was just a little, looked like a group of gradients on top to kind of give that star some dimension. So next, I think we got pretty much everything. All right, so one thing we noticed, or I noticed, when I clicked on this star and I go Control Y, if you see there's a bunch of stars that aren't actually in the design. You're like, where are those at? They're in what's called a clipping mask. So it means those shapes do exist and they will cut. So we need to get rid of them. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to hide all of these little stars, but I do need to click on them because they're the same color as my, we're on group. They are the same color as my stripes. Control 3. So I did same select, fill, and stroke for the dark blue. And I'm gonna do Control 3 and that's just gonna hide it for right now. See, they went away. And I'm basically just trying to get my big star alone. So we're gonna hide, and I do have to click on these individually because I can't use the same fill and stroke shortcut because the stars inside the star and the stripes inside the star are that same color. So it would hide those as well, and we wanna keep those. So I'm just gonna hit Shift and click on every single star. And then same thing, Control 3 to hide them. All right, now we have this star alone. So I'm gonna hide it just for a second, just to see if it's on top or what's going on. So I'm gonna hide it for a second. Nope, it's all one thing. So I just Control Z, that undoes things for you. I'm going to right click, release clipping mask. So what that was, and you can use clipping masks for a lot of different things. You can use them on vector, you can use them on photos if you need to basically, if you have a square photo, you wanna make a circle, that's what you're using a clipping mask for. Maybe we'll do a video on clipping masks. Well, maybe, yeah, we'll do a video on clipping masks because they're a little weird of how they happen. But, so if you can see, oh no, my star's gone. When you release a clipping mask, it goes to no stroke and no fill. I'm not really sure why, but that's why it looks like it's not there anymore. So if you were to roam your mouse around, you might see that star flashing every once in a while. That's kind of a pain to try and find it. So, I mean, I found it. You can see I clicked on it. If you look over here, you're gonna see no fill, no stroke. If you couldn't find it and like you were having trouble finding it, you can just do the Control Y, find the star like that again, and click on it. Keep it clicked on, and then just hit Control Y again. I like to put a random color in it just so I know where it is and I can see it. Now this is where it is a little bit trickier if you're not totally familiar with using Pathfinder. So what I'm basically going to be doing is almost like knocking out pieces. So basically like cutting things apart is, I guess, a short way of saying it. So for the purpose of layering later, because this is the design we're gonna set up to layer, I am gonna keep this star and I'm gonna give it a color. And I'll show you what I mean. I'm either gonna make it the red or like the cream base, so then when we put the other stripes on later, it layers just on top of a solid star, rather than having a bunch of stripes I have to try and line up. So I'm gonna keep it this pink color for now. And, okay, so this is all grouped, so we're gonna ungroup it. And how you can tell it's grouped is I clicked on it, everything was selected, and you'll see this little question mark over here. Question mark always means it has more than one thing. It doesn't really, it's not going to give you a color because it doesn't know what it clicked on. It clicked on a bunch of things. So we will ungroup, right click. If you know your fancy shortcuts, do your shortcuts. So now it's still grouped again. We're gonna ungroup this guy. Perfect. See, now you can tell it's completely ungrouped because it's just blue when you look in the swatches panel here. It is totally fine that these stars are still grouped because it's fine. It's fine that those stars are grouped. So now I'm gonna click on my stripes. Oh, it looks like this is ungrouped as well. So it looks like my cream is one big square. Yes, it is. So I'm gonna undo that. And my reds are individual. So I'm actually gonna just, let's see, I'm gonna add this to my swatch panel. If you guys don't know how to add swatches to your swatches panel, if you have your swatch panel pulled up and you see this little square, all you can do is click and drag. And then I will make that my swatch. Now, and I'm just gonna delete the big box because I don't need it anymore because now my star is gonna be the base of the cream. Now we're gonna take our red ones here. I just right clicked on them. If you didn't want to right click, you could do the select same fill and stroke. There weren't that many, so I just held shift and clicked on them all. So now what I need to do is we're going to be doing kind of like the cutout effect we were talking about earlier. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to Control C. I'm going to copy that star because when I do my cutout effect, the star is going to disappear. So we'll do this again. Now, for anything you guys use in Pathfinder, you're more than likely going to need to make your object a compound path if you have more than one thing selected. So I need to make all of these red stripes one object, and that's different than grouping. A compound path is different than grouping. Grouping is just literally taking all those pieces and moving them at the same time. A compound path recognizes something as one shape, like entirely. So a shortcut is going to be Control 8, or you can go Object, Compound Path, Make. Now, I never remember. I fuddle around on the Pathfinder of which to use. So we're going to knock out the stripes and the star right now. So I need to have both of them selected. And I basically go over to the Pathfinder panel and click one till I like what happens. Not the most graceful, Maggie. Nope, that's not the one we needed. Let's see. Technically, if you want to get, like, you could do, what is it? Erase front to back, minus back. There we go. Minus back. So it's basically taking the back and minusing it from the front star. Minus front and back. So that's why I needed to copy that star, because now it's gone. I'm going to just hit Control Shift V. It's going to place that star right in place. I'm going to change this to red because I need these to be my red stripes now. Now that star is gone, so I need to paste that star back in there. That's why I had to copy it. So I'm going to do Control Shift V, which is paste in place, or you can go Object, Edit, Paste, in place. So now this star is on top of my stripes, so I'm going to arrange, send back. Beautiful. So that part's done. Now we need to conquer this guy over here. So I'm going to do the same thing to what I just did to the stripes. So I'm going to copy this star again. You can make it a different color so it's less the same. And click on both. I'm going to do the blue square and the blue star. Minus back. That is not what I wanted. What do I want to do now? Minus front. See? I click around. I don't really remember. Oh. There we go. Okay, so in this case, intersect is the one that worked for what I like it to be. I'm just going to change it back to the blue color I need. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the stars. So, or the grouping of stars. So being that this is a group of stars, I do need to make the stars a compound path. So we will just click on it and do Control 8. And for some reason, I don't know the explanation of this as well, so if anybody does, please let me know. Sometimes when you make multiple objects a compound path, it goes to no fill, no stroke. I don't really know why. So just give it a color again. We're going to paste that star on there once again. I'll change it to a different color so it's not so the same. And click around until you find what you like. Nope. All right, that worked, but it took on the color of the blue star on top. So we'll just change it back to our cream. We are good to go. So now if you look, comparing to what we had to begin with of all of the, I always put my hand here, of all of the lines and stripes that were stars in there, we will do Control Y. And and it is a single shape. What are you? Oh, that's on the screen. We will see it's a nice, clean image. So, with that being said, we're gonna bring back everything that we had hidden. So I'm gonna do Control-Alt-3. Boom, that brings back everything. Stuff was on weird layers, so we'll move everything to its rightful layer right now. So it doesn't look pretty, but we'll get there. So select same, fill and stroke. I have my layers separated out for each color. Once again, it's not gonna look great, but it makes sense for how you're gonna cut it because you can't cut them all at the same time. All right, so this doesn't look great right now. So just to get it back to kind of how we had it in the beginning, I'm gonna do same, fill and stroke. All right, so I'm gonna just arrange, send this to back. And Aspen actually just pointed out, she's over here sitting next to me, that I accidentally flipped where I had the cream and the red, but this is the bonus of vector. It's an easy change. So I'm just gonna click on the red, make it cream, click where the cream was, make it red. There you go. Another benefit of vectors, you can change anything pretty much at any time. So now I'm gonna separate everything to my layers. I have my layers panel here. I have everything labeled of what I need. So it's just about doing select, same, fill and stroke. And then you'll see everything I need is selected. And then this little blue box, or square I should say, showed up. All you can do is click and drag to the layer you want. And you will see the color of it changed. And what I mean by that is the bounding box you see here corresponds to this here, as well as the square there. I think it's just easier identification so you know what you clicked on if you have lots of layers. So do the next thing. Do the same, fill and stroke. I mean, we don't have anything, but just, you know, to be safe. All right, bring it all the way up to the light blue. Take the cream. Also, if you want to, I guess I could have done this from the beginning. Sometimes it's nice to copy and paste a new one so you always have the original to go back to. Do you want me to do that? Okay. Sometimes I do that just to make sure so then when you go to press your design, you have an example of what your final product looked like. So if you want, you could always duplicate it. Just copy paste, have two of them, keep this as your original file if you wanted. So one thing looking at the design, I went back and I knocked out the stripes from behind here so you don't see the stripes behind the blue anymore. And the reason for that is because I wanted to have all my cream on one layer so it makes sense when we're cutting. So that way we can cut all the cream at one time. We don't have to worry about separating things out or moving things around. So there is no cream stripes behind this blue now. So when we go to layer, it'll make a lot more sense. So you can see I have them all separated here. We can turn each one off when we need it, turn them all back on, and that's exactly how we'd cut. So if we wanted to go cut our cream, we would turn these guys off, load our cream into the whatever machine you're using, cut this one. So you do your dark blue first, then your red, then your light blue, and then finally your cream. Okay, now we're gonna go cut and press this star design. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. That about wraps up just using some basic vectors in Illustrator, showing you guys layers, some text. Let us know if there's anything else you guys want us to cover. I think clipping masks might be a good one for us to cover next time. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Thanks, guys.